Episode what? 7? My brain is fried today. I'm not gonna make it.
Yes, 7.
7.
Lucky number 7.
7. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 7, where we are going to be talking to you about household swaps. So what this is going to be is over the next 4 episodes, we are going to explain how to swap different items in different areas of your home. So we will talk about household, we'll talk about baby rooms, we'll talk about personal care, like different areas of your life where you can swap out less toxic items and materials. So we're going to jump into that. It's pretty overwhelming. It's a lot of stuff. That's why we decided to break this down into 4 episodes that'll hopefully be a little bit shorter and more easily digestible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Danielle get started, but this is the topic for this episode is going to be household swaps.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about this because it can be very overwhelming and you feel like you need to take a big black garbage bag and just like go through your house and throw all the things away.
I did that. Don't do that because then you have nothing.
Don't do that. And it doesn't have to be that way. So just prioritizing things, and we're gonna kind of share with you some of the brands and products that we have really come to love and use. And everything that we are talking about are things that we generally use.
Yeah.
And conveniently, we use a lot of the same things. So,
Yes.
so that was very helpful.
We wrote down a list and I was like, you too? Yeah, me too. Okay. Yeah. So it's good. We just broke it down into a few different items and we'll each dive into those topics.
Yes. So first I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the marketing that there is, some ingredients that you might want to avoid, why, and just go over a few things, and then we'll get into the household things that we typically use, or we do use. So first I wanted to cover greenwashing, and I think that's a term that you might be familiar with, but it's also a term that's just like thrown around a lot, and so you might not know what it means. But it's basically just when companies brand their products in a certain way, or they advertise their products as being safe or non-toxic or quote-unquote natural, while they're still just using the same ingredients that are harmful and toxic and all the things, but they slap a label on there, or they use like pretty green packaging with leaves and trees, and you're like, oh, this is a better choice, like than the whatever that I'm using instead.
It's green.
Right.
It's gotta be organic.
It says natural. It says like clean, like free and clear, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that literally doesn't mean anything, and it, like the marketing and the labeling is meant to attract you to it because you are looking for something that's not actually there. So,
And I just want to say too, just to cut you off really quick.
No, you're good.
When we say that, we're saying that because it's tricked us. At least me specifically. I can't tell you how many brands I've gone through when I first started this journey, and then even recently. Like I'll go through and like double check on a couple of things, and the more you learn, the more you know to look for, right? Like we're not going to remember every long word that we throw at you today.
Right.
Some of that, most of them I cannot pronounce.
Yes.
Poor Danielle, when I was showing her my show notes real quick, she was like helping me say each word, because my rule of thumb is like, if I don't know how to say it, I'm not going to buy it.
Yes.
But, we're saying this because we too have been fooled. And
for sure.
that's why we can speak on this topic. And it's tricky and it's sketchy and it's sneaky, and I hate that they do it, but
On purpose.
Yes, but it is something to look out for.
Yes, because they want you to keep buying their products, and instead of doing the more ethical route of changing ingredients to fit what people are looking for, they just change the labeling and the marketing so that you think that you're buying something better than you really are. And we have definitely been there. When you're first starting, that's what you do. You're like, oh, natural, I'm gonna buy that instead, and that's great. And then you learn, and you're like, well, crap.
Yeah.
Fooled me, darn it. But then you learn and you figure it out. Not to call people out, but some brands that are really bad about this that you might be using because you think that they're clean are like Mrs. Meyer's. You're like, oh, it's so, the branding is pretty, and they, whatever, the way that they advertise is so great. But if you look at their ingredients, you're like, crap. Like Method, which is like, and they're easy to find in stores. So you're like, well, it's easy to get. Those kinds of things, the green pans, which I have a green pan. So, and and neither one of us are like 100%, switched over. It is so hard, and you do get tricked where you, like, we were talking about this downstairs before we started recording. There's a brand that you really love, and it's like a small company, and they're doing great things, and then they get bought by this bigger company, and now you're like, ooh.
Do I still trust you?
Yeah. I don't want to give my money to this, like, huge conglomerate. I liked it when you were your own small business, and so now it's like, I know that this huge company, uses bad ingredients, so how easy is it for them to just then start switching over? And so you do have to be a very conscious consumer, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit too. So the next thing is some ingredients to avoid that you're probably familiar with already. Formaldehyde is used commonly as a preservative. Also for dead bodies.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, what?
So formaldehyde is in things like your skincare and your makeup. Oh yeah. Oxybenzone, which is in obviously sunscreens. Parabens, that's another preservative. The phthalates, another thing that you want to avoid. Sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium laureth sulfate, so the SLS and the SLES. That they'll sometimes just shorten those scary sounding words so that you don't know what you're buying. And then anything with like a synthetic flavoring or a synthetic fragrance. And fragrance can be on the ingredients as like fragrance, parfum, perfume, there's another thing, but it's like, it's tricky. Like, they're like, oh, well, people are catching on to the term fragrance, so let's change it.
I like when they throw the word natural in front. So
natural
fragrance or natural flavoring.
But they don't tell you what it is.
Yeah,
because
it's an umbrella for many things.
Yeah, like petroleum is technically a natural thing that you can find in the ground, but I don't want to, So, why some of these ingredients, or all of those, why these ingredients are things that you want to avoid is because they are all known, like this is known scientific fact, they are allergens, they're irritants, they're endocrine disruptors, which means they interfere with your hormones, they're toxic to your respiratory system, your immune system, your reproductive system. They're also environmental toxins. A lot of times you'll find pesticides and herbicides that are ingredients in personal care products, which is wild. And a lot of these, if that wasn't bad enough, can cause cancer. So these are not things that you want to be using on yourself, on your pets, on your home, on your kids, on your babies, like none of it. We know that our skin is our largest organ and it's very permeable, so things are getting into your bloodstream and you're just inundated with all of this like toxic soup of things and your body can't keep up and isn't able to detox it all out appropriately for the influx that it's getting.
I have heard that women, like if you do a scan of a woman's body versus a man's body, typically women have more chemicals in their body. And if you think, we're the ones that are constantly, we put makeup on all the time, we put lotions on and perfumes, and we use our fancy soaps, and we're the ones going around lighting the candles and having them right by our beds or our couches, or breathing these things in. We're washing our hands with these, fruity soaps and stuff like that.
Everything has to have a smell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, people put on like glittery lotion. I see that. I'm like, huh? Like, oh my goodness. But yeah, like women typically put more things on their body, and therefore we are seeing that they're carrying around a heavier chemical load because of that.
On average, a woman will put between like 12 to 18 products on like every day.
Wow.
So you're like, oh, well, I just use, like, I've switched over some things, but I like really like this cream that I put on my face or whatever. Like, okay, you're using your toxic cream and you can't get rid of your toxic mascara either because you haven't found one that you like, or you're, those, like, say you only have 3 things that you're like, I just can't let these go. You're using those 3 things every single day of every single year, sometimes twice a day, depending on what it is.
And it stays on all day.
And all of that is, I'm not doing it, I only have this couple little things, like, but every single day, like, your exposure is so high. Your exposure is so high. So it is really tough. And another thing that I wanted to bring up is it is so tough to find natural, good, clean products that work sometimes. I think that's like a big hang up with people.
Yes.
But a lot of the times it's like those maybe like greenwash brands too, where you're like, well, it says it's natural, but it doesn't work. Or, so we're going to talk about that too a little bit. But I wanted to come back to fragrance, because fragrance is something that, like I said, everybody loves a smell, which is so funny. Like my house, it has to smell clean. I can't like use unscented soap. Like everything has, like, but why? Why do we have this like emotional attachment to like things needing to have a smell? But fragrance is just, it's literally a blanket term. It doesn't have like a specific rule or law that surrounds it. It's a blanket term that includes any combination of over 3,000 ingredients.
Wild.
So they can just put fragrance in there and it could be thousands or hundreds of things and they're all
not good.
Not good. And where companies are able to work around this is the formulas are protected as proprietary under federal law's classification of trade secrets. So it's like, I don't need to tell you what the ingredients are because this is like my proprietary blend. And if I put all the ingredients on the label, then some other company is going to come and they're going to like, steal my trade secrets, and then there goes my brand. So that's where there's like this loop, the fragrance loophole. So in my opinion, if a company, especially one that claims that they're like non-toxic and clean, and even some companies that claim to be organic, if a company lists fragrance as an ingredient, then what else are they willing to compromise safety on? So that's a huge, huge red flag for me. Most good quality brands that are, really clean and they mean it and they have like the good ethics and morals behind it will say like, they'll put like, they use peppermint essential oil for fragrance. Mm-hmm. Like they'll put like, this is the ingredient and this is what it's being used for, and it's very transparent, which is important because the personal care industry is mostly unregulated. So you can't just assume that a product is safe just because you can buy it in a store. Like, oh, well, they wouldn't be able to sell it if it was harmful. They wouldn't be, like, I wouldn't be able to buy it if it was, dangerous or, going to cause harm, especially kids things. Like, no way. But
and kids' products are sometimes the hardest ones to find the clean things in. Like, I've told you this story before. Shay had a really bad allergic reaction to this makeup that was, came with a doll, like this doll head, so she could, play stylist and put makeup on. And she was, 2 or 3 at the time. So, of course, she was, putting some on her own face. And she had this horrible reaction. She had to go to the emergency room. And when I read the bottle, very, very closely, it said, not to be used on children. I was like,
why is it in a children's toy?
In a kid's toy. That's makeup. I didn't read the fine print on the very bottom. But even, now, she's 4 for her birthday. She wanted makeup. I could not, I'm sure they're out there, and I just didn't find it in the short time frame that I looked. But going through stores or going through a Google, a quick search, you should be able to find clean, organic ingredients in makeup, because that's what I was typing and searching for. Nothing came up. All the companies that were coming up, I know are not quality companies, and I don't trust that company for X, Y, and Z reason. Yeah. But I ended up having to go with a couple of the brands that I use makeup-wise for me, and of course I got her the very, very neutral colors and the not waterproof of all the things, so she could just play with it. But I had to go with actual adult makeup that I knew was clean because I could not find a child's line. And that's crazy. Kid.
Yeah. Because you know that they're kids and they're gonna put it in their mouths and they're gonna
it's gonna get in their eyes.
It's gonna get in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. So things that you can do to be a conscious consumer. Read labels, which can be very overwhelming, especially if you're brand new and you're just starting and you don't know what any of the things mean and you don't know what you're looking for to avoid or anything like that. So an easy tool that you can use, number one, you could just use a search engine. You can just pull up, DuckDuckGo is a good one, or, you can use Google, but shady. And just search the ingredient. It's going to take you a little bit of time, obviously, but you're going to get to know and you're going to figure out what to avoid. You're going to learn. Or the Environmental Working Group has a database. It's called Skin Deep, and I have it linked in the show notes. And you can type in individual ingredients, and it will bring up, and it has like a scale. Or you can, some products are on there, and you can scan the product, or you can search for the product, and it will give them a rating. I've heard, back and forth things, sometimes companies can also pay to have their products removed if they don't like what their rating is and they don't want people to know.
Yeah.
So the easiest thing that you can do with anything that you are, like food or personal care products or household products or medications or vaccines or anything, when you're just starting out and you're learning and you're trying to do your research, number one, do your own research, and number two, just the ingredients, because the ingredients themselves cannot be argued. Like, this is what's in this product and why. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a question about that, email the company. Like, I have a question about why you're using formaldehyde in this like kids bubble bath or whatever. Yeah,
that's a great
question. Can you expand upon this? And if the company, number one, doesn't respond, red flag. Or if maybe you get a great answer, maybe it's not formaldehyde, it's probably not the best. But if you have a question about an ingredient, then you're the consumer. Email the company and ask them why they're using it, or
you're entitled to
whatever. Yeah, and maybe if enough people start questioning, then that's going to create change. I mean, who knows? Another thing.
Well, it does, because if you look at products here in the U.S. and then you look at products in Europe and other places.
They're different formulas.
It's the same company, the same product with completely different ingredients.
Yep.
So they can indeed
choose not to
make these products in different ways, but they're choosing not to because we're buying it and it's cheaper and
the regulation here isn't as strict.
Yeah. So
and they're not being held accountable.
Not nobody, but most people aren't asking questions. They're just going and buying it, and it's okay. But if more of us stand up and question it, or stop buying it, or switch, then they would have to switch their route. So.
Yep. That was on the tip of my tongue. There's a really great Instagram account called Just Ingredients, and she'll do, she has several posts where she'll do like a side-by-side. This is Quaker Oats US formula, and this is Quaker Oats European formula, and you're like, what the F?
Yeah.
They know better, and they do have the ability to do better, but they choose not to because they don't have to.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing to consider. Do you want to be giving that company your money? So choosing companies also that are transparent about their ingredients is, that's like my first thing now, is because you can put anything on a label. Mm-hmm. Especially like the cosmetic industry, the beauty industry, like the personal care industry is basically unregulated. So you can put anything, like me and you could whip some shiz up in the kitchen and start selling it, and nobody's fact checking us, right? So choosing companies that are transparent about their ingredients, transparent about the sourcing of their ingredients, their manufacturing processes, that is huge. If a company is willing to put it all out there, then that speaks volumes to me. So that's how I try to do my shopping now with certain things. And just remember that we talked about this a little bit with food. Most companies and small businesses, small farms, they can't afford the price tag of an organic label. So just because something said doesn't have an organic label doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good product. It might just mean that it's you're shopping from an Etsy shop, and this mom that her side biz is creating these really good quality things that, because she hasn't been able to find an alternative herself, she's like, well, I'm a mom, I'll just make it myself. How many times do we do that? She can't afford that organic label. Yeah. So even if she might even be using all organic, ingredients, but that's just something to keep in the back of your mind too, because we get really stuck on labeling, and like I said, with greenwashing, and then with that, it doesn't necessarily have to be the end all be all.
Yeah, you can just reach out and ask.
Yes. So like Stacey said, over the next few episodes, we're gonna kind of break down into categories so that these aren't super long episodes. And today we're gonna talk about some of the things that we use in our house, just in general. And remember, we have been swapping things over the past 8 years. Mm-hmm. And so we have been able to slowly accumulate these things over time. The best thing that you can do is go through your house and just turn things around and look at their labels. If there's like some really sketchy stuff, then yes, chuck that. But if you are, you know, like using your deodorant and you're almost done, then use the rest of your deodorant and then just choose to replace it with a safer option. You're not spending any more money.
Yeah.
You're just reallocating your funds in a different direction. And just, you know, slowly swapping things over is going to be less overwhelming for you, less overwhelming on your bank account, and it's just going to make the transition so much easier. You don't have to do the garbage bag like all or nothing, unless you want to. Unless there are like some really sketchy things, and maybe you should just throw those out. But
burn it all down, start fresh. No,
look for fragrance. But these are just really easy ways that you can do that. Like we have most of the things in our house that we're using are now non-toxic, but it has not been like that the whole time. So we really want to stress, like, don't feel like you can't do it just because you feel like you have to throw everything out. Like, that's not realistic. So any little thing that you can do is going to be huge, and just start that kind of like snowball of better product and better product and better product. So
can I go first?
Yeah.
Because I have a new purchase and I'm so excited to tell you about it. This is a bigger purchase, so we will have some smaller items on there. This is a bigger ticket item, but so worth it. So we were ready for a new bed. We had our same mattress for I don't even know how many years, and like the same pillows and everything like that. So when Travis gave me the green light to go and search for a new mattress, my first thing I was like, organic, clean, because I learned, I watched a documentary or something, and it just explained like the amount of like flame retardants and cancer-causing chemicals and all of this disgusting stuff that's in your mattress that you sleep on for what, like 7-8 hours a night and breathe in a very close proximity. And like even I'm like, okay, I've had most of my things in my house are clean, but then I sleep on the most toxic thing possible every single night. So we were able to get a Joy bed, Joy, so Joy bed and pillow. I did their pillow too. And it's amazing. It's so comfortable. We like a more firm bed. Yeah. So they have, I think it's like 3 options. Okay. We went with the more firm option, but then I also purchased the mattress topper just in case, like in case it was too firm. But we ended up not needing it, so we just kind of had that and like shade lays on it and stuff. But could probably make a good dog bed. Should give it to them.
Probably.
But it's amazing. So it's made in the USA. It's all natural materials. There's no foam, no latex, and no chemicals. So no flame retardants, none of that stuff. It is all wool, cotton, and plant fibers. That's all that it is. So it's like fully recyclable and like all of the things. So again, when you look down the road of like, I'm gonna get rid of it, it will break down and all that stuff. So we're saving the planet too. And it's amazing. So I also got the pillow to go with it, which is wool as well. So a lot of the times right now, it's just all these different chemicals inside of your pillow. And like, be careful like when you're reading certain things, because like the outside might not be anything terrible, but the inside is all like a chemical store.
Yeah, that's the thing like with green pans that I mentioned, like the thin layer on the outside is great, but then obviously things like break down, and when you're using them every day, and like with, you know, stuff like pots and pans, you're cutting into them or using utensils, like you're scraping away that nice, safe, non-toxic layer, and then what's underneath it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly, yeah. So we got that, and we're absolutely loving it. The pillow too has helped a ton with my neck. I sleep on like my side, and I have always just kind of had like, not like an issue so much with my neck, but like some days it would be sore, and then sometimes my jaw would be a little sore because I would kind of, once it got too flat, I feel like my body was kind of crushing on my jaw. So this one actually, it stays super firm. Like when I get up, there's not even like an indent. Like it's a very dense, full pillow. It's heavy too. Like when I picked it up, I was like, what? It's like a rock. But it's so good. I absolutely love it. So it just kind of gives you that peace. Like when you lay down at night and you know you're laying on something that's clean and you're not breathing in a bunch of crap. It gives you that peace of mind. So, and Trav loves it too. Like he loves the firmness to it and everything. So we're super happy with that. And then also to go with that, I knew that I wanted, new bed, I'm gonna get new sheets and everything like that. So we use Naturepedic, and that's for our sheets and our pillowcases and everything like that. So again, they're all natural, organic, clean cotton. Again, with flame retardants, none of the things that you don't want in there. So
I actually just got Sage sheets. I mean, she has a bed in her room, but she sleeps with us. But she naps in her room. Her mattress is old and it's not. When she actually does start sleeping in her room, like for real, I'll buy her a non-toxic organic mattress. But for right now, she just naps in there. But I did buy her organic sheets to put on her toxic mattress that she sleeps on for like an hour a day. But I found them at Target. So organic sheets, you can find, yeah, like you can, I think it was like $50. And it was a whole sheet set, and you can find those at like Target too. So it doesn't have to be this like crazy brand. Like you can find sometimes like good alternatives, just at Target, or wherever. So.
Absolutely, I found a lot of stuff on Amazon, which I'll get to
later.
But yeah, so also guys, we will link all the links to where to get these things in our show notes. So Joybed is obviously joybed.com, and then Naturepedic is naturepedic.com. But that will all be linked at the end. So yeah, so that was one of my bigger new swaps. I've only had it for like 2 months now, but I remember I like texted you and I was like, guess what I just got, a new bed, you're gonna come over and see it. Like I was so excited.
And I did.
I did. Sit on it, it's comfy.
It was like the next day we came over and she's like, let me show you my bed. I was like, yes, please do.
Once you get into this space, the new organic bed will make you very happy.
We have a Lucid mattress, which is like, it's not organic. It's non-toxic. I don't know. Like, we bought it 5 years ago. So I was still like, it's better. Yeah. I haven't looked into it. I should have. Yeah, I should have looked. It's like natural foam and like natural latex instead of like chemical things. But we love it also. Again, we got it on Amazon. Yeah. So it was a good and like a pretty inexpensive option too. So.
What do you have?
I have, so laundry detergent is a big one because you are wearing your clothes all day. But laundry detergent is another thing where people are like, I only use Tide. I will never not use Tide. And
it's clean and fresh.
Why? Yeah, and then there's like Tide free and clear. Like that's actually bullshit.
Oh, like I see the commercials for laundry detergent.
They're like, it's like
extra scented, extra smell. And I'm like, gross. Like, no thank you.
I can tell what laundry detergent you use
by
like standing in your house or standing next to you. But it's like we become so desensitized to the things that we're like using all the time, which is even scarier. You're like the fragrance is just like inundating you so much that you can't smell it anymore.
There's times like I'll be like around a group of people, I'll actually get a headache just because I no longer have that in my household. Going to some people's homes and if they're burning scented candles. Oh,
I'm the person that I will blow your candles
I will
out
too.
And I will unplug your wax belts and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm allergic.
I'm
especially with sage. I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Totally.
We don't do it. So a really good laundry detergent that we have found is Molly's Suds, and it's like a mom created this product. I do have it linked, but they have all kinds of laundry products. They have like different kinds of detergents. They use essential oils for scent, so there is a little bit of a smell for you people who need the smell.
I like a good smell, but
like a real smell. Yes, not summer breeze. Like what the frig does summer breeze mean? Summer breeze on the farm, because that smells like cow poo. Or summer breeze, like,
I can
come on.
Yeah,
like,
that's not going somewhere.
Yeah. But we really love it. It's a powder. They have like active, like they have different kinds, different like formulas. And like we have dirty clothes. Like you do too. Like the farm. Like, we have dirty clothes. We have nasty, dirty, like sweaty gym clothes. Yeah. Kids. My husband is a lineman. Like he works on power lines. He works outside in the south in the heat all summer.
Yum.
So that's like sweat nastiness, dirt nastiness, grease and oil, like all of the things.
Too.
We have dogs. Yeah, you don't want your stuff to smell like dogs. That's not the smell everyone's looking for. So it, like, let me tell you, this stuff works. Because it is tough to find sometimes, like I said, products that work like this. The Molly Suds is good. It's good stuff.
I tried a couple that I thought were like clean, came to find out later not so much, but especially once we got to the farm, I was like, ooh, like,
I need really
so good. I got like extra. I was like doubling the amount I was supposed to use it. Still wasn't really getting into it. So yeah, I'm happy to start using that.
And they also have wool dryer balls that you can buy too, and that's something that we've been using for a really long time instead of fabric softener sheets. Those things are some of the most toxic things that you can use. Please stop using those. I told you not to throw everything away, but throw those away
instantly.
They're so bad.
I don't even walk down the aisle in the grocery store that has that stuff.
No.
Like seriously,
cleaning
I
products
don't even make it but even just walking past it, I
so bad.
Run with my cart past it.
It's so bad. It's like when you walk past Bath and Body Works, you're like instant. It instantly hurts my body. Like I cannot do it. But wool dryer balls are a really great swap out. We have I think 6, and I just keep them in my dryer. They just hang out in there, and it like tumbles your laundry, so it helps it like dry more efficiently. One thing that can happen is like you don't have like the anti-static chemicals that are, awful. But if you could just put some safety pins in like a few of your dryer balls, then that kind of takes away that static. Or I've heard of people like crunching up like some aluminum foil and like throwing that in there too.
In your you put aluminum foil.
People, not me.
I've heard of this. I feel like that would be like putting it in your microwave, like it would explode or something because it's heat. But maybe. We don't know about that. We think you can do it. Look it up online first.
And then if you want that like extra scent boost, you can use essential oils on your dryer balls. So I've found if you do it at the end when your clothes are mostly dry or they already are dry, then it works a lot better than doing it at the very beginning when they're wet. The scent doesn't really seem to work as well. So what I do is I let my laundry run, and then I mean, how many people take it out? I used to be that person. I used to be the person that would like wash and dry and fold and put away all on the same day, and then I had a kid, and I don't do that anymore. No. And so you end up fluffing. So when you do your fluff cycle, then put your drops on and let it, run through, and then it seems to work a lot better doing it that way. Helpful.
That's smart tip. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, what do I have next? Mine is glass Tupperware. So how many of us women, you open that Tupperware drawer and it's just like, it's all this like plastic Tupperware. This is something that, again, once I found out how bad plastic is for you, especially when it's heated, and all of those beautiful chemicals just leak into your food, your organic, nice, clean food that you prepped, now you heat it up in rubber, or plastic Tupperware, now you just completely like contaminated all that food. This was something that, like I said earlier, once I learned the things, Danielle knows my personality, so this makes sense to her, but I remember the day, and I had 2 friends over so they can attest to this story, and poor Travis came home and was like, well, what do we do now? I went through my kitchen, threw out all the Tupperware, and even the food, later, I think it was 5 or 6 bags, and Travis walked in from work and was like, so what's for dinner? And I remember looking around being like, I don't know. Nothing.
Not plastic.
Not plastic. Not any of this stuff. So I don't recommend doing that. Because sometimes glass Tupperware is not inexpensive. It's not expensive, but it's not inexpensive. If you're comparing glass Tupperware to plastic Tupperware, it looks expensive. But you don't need as much. I would just accumulate, this plastic Tupperware over time, and half of it we didn't have lids for, and all this stuff. Yeah. But with glass Tupperware, now I just have 1 or 2 really good sets, and then that's all I need. You don't need that much Tupperware realistically.
And you can find sets at Costco or Sam's. That's when we first got our set. I think it was from Sam's Club, and we've gotten another one from Costco, and it was $20. Yes. And you get a 12-piece set. Some are big, some are medium size, some are tiny. But it's that's all that you need.
That's all you need. That's all you need. 1 or 2 of each size, and you're good to go. I get mine on Amazon, honestly. Yeah. It's just whenever I'm in the kitchen and I realize, we're low, or I lost a lid, or one broke, or whatever the case may be.
Which I dropped mine in our carport on the cement, and it hasn't broken. They're a lot more sturdy than you would think.
Yes.
I dropped a whole thing when I wash and dry and put my berries in the thing. If you follow us on Instagram, you've seen my process, but I've taken the berries from the top shelf, and they slipped, and it fell all over, and I was like, oh no. But just the berries exploded. The berries were all over the floor, but the glass container was completely fine. I'm like, Dang.
The only time I ever broke one was, and it was just a chip, but once it's chipped, I'm like, I don't want to like have this, a shard go into my food. So I was lifting it up out of the dishwasher and it clipped like the bottom of the counter, and either I'm really strong or I hit a weak spot, and it didn't shatter, but like that whole corner piece, like just on the top, like lip, that did break off.
And then the lid's not gonna fit up.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, forget it. So I did toss that one. But yeah, I just get mine on Amazon, or again, Costco is a great option, and things like that. And that's an easy one because you can't really mess up glass. It's not like you're looking for specific brands and certain labels and different things. Glass is glass. Just get that instead of plastic.
And if you're super lame, an adult, and you ask for like weird things like that, that's a good like Christmas gift.
Yeah.
It's just like a set. I know, I like ask for the stupidest stuff. And my family's like, seriously? I'm like, well, I need it. I mean, it's practical. So I use it. Thanks. I'll think about you every time. But like a set. It comes in like a box. You can wrap it, whatever. Don't wrap it. I don't care.
Yep. What do you have?
So we also do the same thing with like glass, like and stainless steel bottles, because you don't want to be drinking, especially if you're drinking like your own water, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. But back to not heating up things in plastic. Think about your coffee maker. So you're heating up.
She told me
I know.
She hit me with this the other day. Again, I think I'm clean. I think I'm doing things good. I literally broke my neck. Like when she said this, and my head just snapped over to look at her. I was like, son of a, I didn't even think about that. So
I handed her my coffee thing, and she was like, but what is this? I'm like, this is what we make coffee. And she's like, but what?
Like, why? Why would you make coffee in this? This seems a little much.
This is weird.
And then she said,
yes, so we use a Chemex pour over coffee maker. So it's a glass carafe.
It looks like a vase.
Yeah. And you just put a little, what is this shape? A cone filter. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit congested, and apparently that's affecting my brain also. So, you're welcome for the obnoxious sound of my voice. But we use a Chemex, and it has like these little cone filters, and you heat up your water in like your tea kettle, and then you pour it over your coffee, and it filters down through because you don't. Okay, so think about like your normal coffee maker is plastic, and it has like plastic reservoirs and plastic things, and like the thing that you pour out of is usually glass or maybe metal.
Steel,
but all of the other working parts of that are plastic. So you're heating up to like a very high temperature your water to pour over your coffee. So then you're drinking hot plastic coffee water. You don't. You don't do that every day. And some people, like some people only, maybe drink like 1 cup of coffee, but maybe your 1 cup is like a big tumbler and it's actually 2 cups, or maybe you drink coffee also in the afternoon.
But still,
maybe at
something
nighttime
you do every day.
Right, so your exposure is pretty significant, and you're consuming it, which is, not even worse, but that's something that's like a really easy. And honestly, once we started using the pour over, you can tell. Like when you get the Birkin, you can tell that your water tastes different. When you start drinking your coffee without the plastic in it, you can tell that there's a difference. It just tastes a little better. And we've had people come to our house and like guests and stay, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm making coffee. And they're like, you're a crazy person. And then they drink my coffee and they're like, damn, what's that called? I'm ordering it. And then people... Then they'll like
expensive, right?
No, it was like $30. Maybe. Like it was not, and you use it every single day.
$50
right?
Or something. So some of these
don't get me started on K-cups. Lord.
Plastic K-cups. That's great. But yeah, like some people, think that switching over is just so much more expensive. But in certain areas, there are certain things like my skincare products, like my moisturizers, things like that. I will spend a tiny bit extra for the clean. Ingredients, but things like this, you can save a ton of money.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, my next thing is pans. So I have and love my cast iron pans.
Yep.
I honestly don't remember where I got them. I'm 90% sure it was Amazon.
We have like Lodge ones.
Yes.
Lodge is like an easily accessible, pretty inexpensive.
There's
like really bougie. Yeah, there's like really bougie cast iron, but Lodge is like a decent brand too. Just seasoning them with your own oil, because the oil that they send with you is like canola, which you don't use canola oil.
No. So I have my cast irons, which I do love, but for things like eggs and like a little more like delicate things, it isn't like the best. Like some stuff will still stick even with a seasoned cast iron. So for that, I was looking into a clean like non-stick pan because I know that non-stick pans are super, super toxic. So we actually found the Our Place pan. So their website is FromOurPlace.com, and there's no PFOAS, no PTFES, and no PFAS, and all of those things, all those abbreviations, those are short for very, very long words that they have shortened down because none of us can say them. So again, like just for a funny example, because I'll butcher this. PFOAS is short for perfluorocarbonic something acid. Okay, so it's a very long word, and that is what that means. It's just a chemical process.
Yeah.
So it's free of all of those big long words. It's non-toxic and non-stick, and again, a lot of times to find a non-toxic non-stick is pretty hard.
Yeah.
There's no lead, no toxic metals, no nanoparticles. So all of that is really good. So again, it's just like this clean lining that even if, like she said, if that does break down, which mine hasn't, mine has held up really good. But if that was to break down, there's nothing toxic underneath it, which is like different from was it green pan? You said
most.
So Our Place pans are amazing, and they come in like the cutest colors.
Your pans are pretty.
Oh, they're like I have like this. It's like these very like light like pastels.
Yeah.
And stuff. So I really enjoy them. They're pretty as well. And then. The other thing that they do that's pretty neat is like a portion of everything, all the proceeds that they get, they donate to different charities, and like their most recent one was Feeding America and stuff like that. So they donate a ton of money, and it's just like a good company. You can go on and like read about like their mission statement and all this stuff. And I'm kind of at like a place nowadays where like if the company doesn't have a mission statement, it's kind of like, nah, I don't really want to give you all the money, you know? So it's nice when you go onto a website and you see that.
Like we were talking about, like being a conscious consumer, like you want to support the companies that are transparent about all of those things, and so it just makes you feel like your money is going towards something that you can align with and that you can agree with. And so I will gladly pay more money for quality, especially if I know that the money that I'm giving is going to a company that's doing good things with it.
Yes.
Not just making a good product. Obviously that in and of itself is amazing, but if there's that extra, you're like, yeah, I like you.
Yes, exactly.
I will tell my friends about you.
Exactly. So just going back to like again those chemicals that are in like non-stick pans that we don't like to use. The reason that we don't like to use them is because those chemicals do things like liver damage, thyroid disease, they decrease fertility, high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and cancer.
We're talking about you, Teflon.
Yeah, exactly. So call them out. So as convenient as it is to have a non-stick, again, if you are buying all of this like clean food, it kind of, I don't want to say it cancels out, but it definitely is tough when you put it on something and then heat that something up. Like heating
makes it so much
anything with chemicals, when you add heat to it, it just magnifies it so much. And you know, completely off topic is one of the other things, but think about like water bottles, like plastic water bottles. They go on trucks and they sit in the sun or they sit in a hot truck, and then it cools down and then it heats back up and then cools down, and then you go and you drink that water. Like there's so much.
If you leave it in your car and it cools back.
Have you ever gotten in a car back in the day, gotten in a car and drank a hot water bottle that you just taste straight plastic? That's like 100% enough proof right there. But again, that's a little off topic, but that's just to kind of get you to understand when you heat something up, you're now magnifying the problem.
There's actually a documentary that's coming out about plastic water bottles, like specifically, and just all the things that you just said. Whenever it comes out, we'll make sure to link it in like Instagram somewhere, like in our stories or something. But it was sent to me by a family friend maybe last week. She's like, I know that you would appreciate this. I'm like, yes, because my mom is still like, she's like crunchy, organic, clean, all the things, and she buys like cases of water, and we're like, why? Stop doing it.
What do you have next?
The next thing that I have is essential oils. So essential oils you can use for all of the things. So it's a very comprehensive, and it's a really, okay, so it can be an upfront investment, but you can use them for so many things.
Yeah.
However, this is another industry that is unregulated. So the oils that you find at Walmart, the oils that you find, basically if you can buy them in a store, they're not great.
Yeah.
If you can buy them on Amazon, they're not great.
Yeah.
As much as everybody wants to like be like weirded out about like direct sales and like MLM companies, there are some really good quality oils that you can buy, and the reasoning that they have that business plan is because if you put a really good, nice oil on the shelf next to a $5 bottle of frankincense, of course, the average person is going to buy $5 versus $70 because they don't understand the quality behind it and what that means. So there are some really, really good brands. We personally use, there's probably two brands that I would feel comfortable buying. The one brand that I do buy is doTERRA. I don't sell doTERRA. I used to have an account where I could sell doTERRA before, but I don't anymore. So don't, like, you can't buy doTERRA from me, that's not what I'm saying.
We're just selling you.
Yeah, but so cheap oils can contain really harmful ingredients, and a lot of the times they contain fragrance. So you think you're buying something that's like a plant, and it's just, they're tricking you again. Yeah. So again, choosing quality a little bit goes a really long way. So you're gonna end up spending a little bit more money, but I think like a Bayer bottle that you can buy, like a 15 milliliter bottle, has like 250 drops in it, and you only need to use like a couple drops per whatever you're doing. So that's gonna last you for such a long time, and you really want to make sure with things that you're buying quality.
Yeah.
So, but you can use oils. We mentioned earlier with like wool dryer balls. You can use them instead of candles. Please, I know I'm like, don't throw everything out. Throw out your candles. Throw out your candles. Throw out your Scentsy. Throw out your like wax things. Throw out like those things, the plug-in things. Those are so bad. Please throw those out.
Yeah.
You can buy a diffuser, you can buy oils, and you can use that instead, and then you're also purifying your air, and you're doing really great things for your respiratory system and your immune system, and all those, so you're getting all those added benefits too, and your house still smells good. You don't have to have a weird hippie smelling house. You can also use like oils to make your own cleaning products. A really, really great way to inexpensively and non-toxically and very easily clean your home is get a glass spray bottle. You can find them on Amazon. Just type in glass spray bottle. Fill half of it with white vinegar, half of it with water, and then put some drops of maybe like a citrus essential oil in there, and obviously shake it up. And then you can use that on like basically all the surfaces of your home, and you have a very inexpensive, and maybe that whole thing costs you like $1, minus the water or minus the spray bottle, and you can clean your whole home. Your house is not going to smell like a vinaigrette salad.
I asked her that like
but 2
days ago. I was like, she told me that she could just like clean. I don't know how we got on the topic, and I looked at her and I was like, does it smell like vinegar? Like, I don't think I could like do that. But she's like, did you smell vinegar? Did you smell vinegar when you walked in my house? Because I was just cleaning, and I was like, no, it smells great.
And you'll smell it obviously when you spray it out, and then you're wiping it down, and then once it dries, the vinegar smell is completely gone. So valid concern, but easy answer.
Something like that can save you money. So like, if you go under like your standard American's, sink, and you look, you have like window cleaner, floor cleaner, toilet cleaner, counter cleaner, wood cleaner, like all of the things. When you and I both have one bottle, it's in a glass bottle, not plastic. Going back to that,
I refill
one bottle, and we use it on all of the things in our house. So right there, we save a ton of money just under our kitchen sink.
And you don't have to worry about. So tangent. Side note: did you know that when you clean with like Clorox wipes and Lysol wipes, you're supposed to then go back over that surface and use soap and water and clean that off? Because nobody knows that, and nobody does that because it's toxic AF. And so what you're putting on your surfaces, you're touching with your hands, you're walking on your floors with your feet, your babies are crawling around, your pets are, walking around the floors, even thinking about washing your dishes. you're washing your dishes, the soap that's on the dishes that you're washing, like you're rinsing it off, but I mean, are you really rinsing all of it off? Like you don't know. And then you're gonna eat that. So like making sure that all those little like instances of like cross contamination, I guess for like lack of a better term, those all, again, they all add up. And so making sure that all these things that you're being exposed to are not going to harm you or your pets or your family is huge. And then something like that is so inexpensive to just easily swap out. But it a little bit goes a long way with the oils, but a little bit goes a long way with just the magnitude of things that you can change out too. Like you don't need a cleaner for every little tiny thing. Like just use one or two.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's all that I have. Oh no, I have one more thing, but you go. Do you want to talk about our Berkeys?
I have a couple things.
Yeah.
I have a couple more things. Yeah, I think I have two more. Okay. So, well, first, before I get to the Berkey, I'm going to talk about the Air Doctor.
Okay.
So, again, this is a little bit more of an investment, but definitely worth it because it's the air you breathe.
Yes.
Like,
and I think with a lot of these like bigger ticket items that we're mentioning, number one, these are some of the last things that we have.
Yes.
Like we have an Air Doctor also, and we got it like 3 months ago. So these are some things that like, okay, now we've made like these small changes, and we can plan ahead and budget and wait for sales. So like that's what we did. We got our
Black Friday, right?
Cyber Monday.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, same thing. Same weekend. So you know that like in general, these companies are going to have sales throughout the year, and you can wait. You know how much it's going to be, so just kind of budget the funds ahead of time, wait for a sale, and then purchase. That's just like a really easy thing for like these bigger ticket items that you're like, I don't know about that.
Different like Instagram influencers and stuff will have codes and stuff like that. Like, I almost always use a code for these bigger items for sure. Like I used a code on my Joy Bed, I remember that. I think I used a code on my Air Doctor too. But yeah, so it's an air purifier. But it's an ultra HEPA filter. It is dual action carbon gas filter. It has auto mode for air quality sensor. So like I will be cooking something or like, somebody will walk by with like a strong perfume and like my Air Doctor gets on. I'm like, you are so snooty. Like you are rude doctor. But yeah, like so it'll be on all day doing its thing, and then it picks up a scent or something in the air that it knows it wants to clean, and the button actually turns red and it kicks up a notch. And then once it feels like it's gotten rid of that thing, it will actually lower itself back down.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And Shay used to walk by and be like, oh, it's eating all the dirty things. It's eating all the dirty things. But again, I had like a client over. I used to, work out of my home, and I had a client over, and she had really strong perfume on, and she was standing right by it, and it kicked on, and Shay was like, it's eating the dirty things, and I was like, oh man, like, man, let's go outside. We're fine.
That'll happen like if we're cooking and like you get like maybe something like chars a little bit or something. It'll turn red, and I'm like, ooh, you pissed off the Air Doctor. She's mad.
She will call you out on anything. You cannot hide anything from her. It's a sealed system, and it has a quiet performance. So again, unless it like kicks on a little bit for that extra couple of seconds, I don't even know that it's on all day. And like some air purifiers can be pretty loud. I think we have the Air Doctor 3000. There's a few. Like I think it's like.
I think there's like maybe three. It
Three,
just depends
small,
on like the
medium,
size of
and
your home, or like the size of the room that it's going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got the Air Doctor 3000, and that one is specifically for large rooms.
That's what we have.
It circulates air in 638 square feet 4 times an hour. So all of that air and that amount of space circulates 4 times. So it's completely cleaned and scrubbed and put back out, which I thought was pretty amazing.
And it's quiet. You don't even know that it's on. Unless it gets mad, and then you know. And then it's kind of funny.
Yes. The things that it, catches and cleans up is smoke, bacteria, viruses, pet dander, pollen, and mold. And I'm allergic to pollen and mold. So that was like one of the first reasons why I got it. But I also had my dog training business in my house. And again, just having like 8 to 10 dogs coming and going a day, I wanted to make sure like for the pet dander that we were really like nipping that in the bud. But yeah, so it does all those things, which is amazing. And then there was a study done that the Air Dr. 3000 removed 99.9% of tested bacteria and viruses, including H1N1 in a third-party lab testing, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So once like Corona happened, I just like picked that baby up and walk around with it. I'm like, I'm safe, I'm fine, anybody can cough on me. But yeah, it really does a really good job of just scrubbing that stuff out of the air. And you can spend a bunch of money with these other companies, and it's not gonna do what you think it's doing. It's just moving. It's sucking air and spitting it back out. So you really want to look into it and
you
make sure.
can take the front panel off and see what the filter is collecting. You're like, oh, I used to breathe that in. Gross.
Actually, that's a good reminder. I probably should change that. But.
Well, when you change it, do it on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So people can see the difference, because that was like a big selling point for us too, was like watching other people, and we're like, ooh, we have 3 dogs. Our house is like, it might be 100 years old at this point. It's an old house. We bought it 3 years, it's like 99 years old. So mold, like obvious, we know that there's mold in our house, but so that was like a huge thing for us too. And we just bought one. Like you can buy one for every room, but we bought one, and I will like put it in our bedroom at night. All 3 of us are in there, so it's perfect. And then during the day, I'll take it out, whatever room we're gonna be in the most. Or like recently we got Sage like a new dresser, and you could just like smell, like it was like off gassing. It wasn't a non-toxic dresser. So I put it in her room, and I like shut the door, and she was mad, but she put it there. So
put me to work today.
So you can just kind of circulate it around your house. You don't have to. I mean, eventually I would like to get a couple more maybe, but you can just buy one, and it's very light and it's very easy to move, and so it's something that you can utilize in multiple rooms too, depending on how like your house is set up. Like ours is, we have a lot of walls, we have a lot of separate rooms, we don't have like a nice big open floor plan, so moving it around is something that we tend to do.
Yeah.
But another air purifying thing, the last thing that I have is houseplants. Houseplants are such an easy way to clean and purify your air. That's going to give you a lot of really good benefits if you're somebody that can keep them alive, because I know a lot of people are not. But I like plants. I have a lot of plants in my house. So that's another easy thing until maybe you like save up the money to get. I think we spent, I don't know, Nick bought it. But I think they're like $300. The air doctors.
Anywhere between like 3 and 5.
Yeah, so depending on the size and like the one that you get, which honestly, I mean, $300 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But considering what it's doing
it's
for
your
you,
air. Like,
yes, considering what it's doing for you,
put on your air.
Yes. So, but houseplants are another good option too.
And they're pretty.
Yeah,
so that works. Okay, my last topic for the day, and it is by far my most used thing, is our Berkey water filter.
Yes, we have the same one.
Obsessed, absolutely obsessed. BerkeyFilters.com is where you can find these. They are amazing. This is the company that has a lot of different sizes. They have, really small things like water bottles. They have a travel Berkey. They have the big Berkey, which is what I got. They have a Royal Berkey, an Imperial, a Crown, and the Berkey Light. So there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, we have the same size, and I think it holds like 4 gallons, but once you...
The big Berkey holds 2.25.
Oh, so we have 2.25. So, but once you have you bought the extra fluoride filters.
Yes.
Yep, so we did too. That takes up some space. For like $50 more, you can get one that's like, 100, do not make the mistake that we both did. Go ahead and size up, because once you put the filters in, you're like, oh darn, we fill this 17 times a day. Because I give my dogs Berkey water, they're bougie dogs. I give my dogs Berkey water.
My dogs don't get water, my dogs get well water.
Well, we have town water. Yeah. So our water, you can smell the chemicals in it. So I'm like, here dogs.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of you.
I help you.
But no, we do. We probably fill that up probably about 3 times a day. We're a family of 4. But yeah, so the most popular purchase is the big Berkey. Yeah. It's good for 1 to 4 people, so we're definitely pushing it on the 4 people side. You're pushing it on the 3 people side plus animals, so I see why we both have to refill it.
And if you use it for your cooking water too.
Oh, 100%. We use it for our coffee, which now I know we then put in a plastic container, so we're gonna fix that. But yeah, I use it for everything. Like, I use it for putting that water into my diffuser.
Yep.
It's just everything.
Yep.
The houseplants that I do have, I give them Berkey water.
Yep.
Everybody gets Berkey water. And everybody that comes to my house gets Berkey water because we no longer buy single-use plastics. We do not do water bottles. So, which is funny, like, I remember the first, probably year, when like different people would come over for the first time and be like, oh, would you like some water? And they would say, yeah, and I would hand them a glass of water, and they'd kind of look at you because like a little confused because it wasn't a
People
water
are
bottle.
so used to water bottles and stuff like that.
And I'm like, nope, you won't get that here. But I'm obsessed with it. So it obviously does what it says. It just purifies your drinking water. It comes with a set of filters, whichever one you purchase. It has their filters. But you can buy a second set of filters, which are the fluoride filters. And we obviously recommend doing that.
Especially if you have town water, where you know it's being fortified with fluoride. Yeah. That was something that we got to.
It takes up more room, but again, maybe get those and then size up in your murky to kind of compensate for that. But the fluoride filters reduce fluoride by 97%, which is huge. And obviously we do not want to be drinking fluoride. And it just tastes good. Like now, if I was on like a road trip and I ran out of, I obviously fill up a bunch of like water bottles, like our glass water bottles with Berkey water, but if we run out and I have to get like a water bottle from the gas station, I taste the difference. And Travis calls me a water snob now. Like there's beer snob, there's different things. I am not that. I don't even drink beer. But I'm a water snob for sure. Anywhere we go, I taste the difference. Like going to restaurants, no way.
Chlorine.
That's all I taste is chlorine. Exactly. I just bring my, Yeti water bottle, which is filled up with my Berkey water. So call me a water snob all you want because I will proudly accept
it's like you can taste a measurable difference. Like I remember my parents were down. Whenever we got ours, it like came in the mail that day, and Nick and I were like so excited. They're like, "What are you doing? Like this is a cool thing." And like, of course, we filled it up right away. It's basically like you open it and you can use it, and you can taste a difference. Like fill up a glass at your tap, and then fill up a glass with the Berkey, and you're amazed. Like it's crazy the difference. It's so crazy.
It is. So that wraps up the different topics for swaps, healthier swaps, healthier options that you can put in your home. Like we said a bunch of times, we will link all of these products that we have here that we've been using for years in the show notes. We'll also throw some of that on Instagram for you so you can follow those accounts and kind of get to know them better.
We have some posts lined up.
Yeah, and tune in next week. Again, it's probably about a four-week series that we're doing this for. Tune in next week for the episode on beauty and personal care, healthy swaps. Yeah. So we'll see you guys next week.
Perfect.